Well, good morning, brothers and sisters at Grace Bible Chapel. Another week is upon us, and I just want to take a look this week. I want to spend the entire week in just a short passage in the Gospel of John. We actually looked at it a little bit a few weeks ago, but I want to take a deeper dive into it. So let's take a look at the Gospel of John. We're going to be looking at chapter 12. And I'm just going to read the first two verses from verse 20 and 21, and we see the story of what happens. Now, to understand the context of where Jesus is in his journey here, he's arrived at Jerusalem at the time of the Passover, and he knows that the time of his crucifixion is close. The triumphal entry has happened. He's come into Jerusalem riding on a donkey. The crowds were there laying down their cloaks and their palm trees and shouting, "Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." And so this was right. This was a right response to Jesus arriving in Jerusalem at that time. But he knew what the people didn't know, that he wasn't there to be crowned king. And so here at this point in time, we have this interesting little story where some Greeks come and they want to see Jesus. Let's just read verse 20 and 21. It says, "Now among those who went up to worship at the feast were some Greeks. So these came to Philip, who was from Bethsaida in Galilee, and asked him, 'Sir, we wish to see Jesus.'" I just want to look at that this morning. I want us to understand just kind of how profound this actually is. These Greeks were men and women who believed in the God of the Jews. They believed in Yahweh. They believed in who the Old Testament said that God was. And they had come to Jerusalem to celebrate the Passover in whatever capacity that they could. Now, because they weren't Jewish, there was actually restrictions on them and what they could do. There was only certain places that they could go within the temple. In fact, if they went into the places they weren't allowed, it was actually a crime that was punishable by death. And as far as I know and understand, that's the only crime throughout the Roman Empire that a group of people who were not Roman were able to put someone to death for. One of the reasons that the Pharisees had to deliver Jesus over to Pilate to be crucified was because capital punishment was the job of the Roman Empire. They didn't give that out to just anyone. And yet, if a Greek or a Gentile went into certain sections of the temple, the Romans had given the Jewish people the permission to stone that person because of I don't know what exactly the reason was, but the contention or the just how big a grievance that would be for them. But here we have these Greeks, and they want to come and they want to celebrate the Passover in whatever capacity they can, and they see that Jesus is there, and they come and they ask and they say, "Sir, we would see Jesus." Now, there's a marvelous thing here, because the boundaries that they have, or the barriers that they have to truly celebrate the Passover like a Jewish person could, they don't have those same boundaries to come and to see the Lord Jesus. You know, there's times in Jesus's ministry when he revealed himself in amazing ways to the Gentiles, or to people who are Gentiles. You know, we can think of the Samaritan woman, the woman at the well, and how he revealed himself to be the Messiah to her. We think of the man who was possessed by a legion of demons. Jesus traveled all the way across the Sea of Galilee to a Gentile area just to meet that man and to cast out the demon, and to then send him to be his witness throughout the Gentile area, in that area. And here we have these Greeks who are coming to Jesus and they just wish to see Jesus. And this sparks a really interesting response from the Lord. And we're going to look at that tomorrow night. But or tomorrow morning, sorry. And I just want us to think about this. This is actually this term, this idea, this desire to see the Lord Jesus, to see him for who he really is, to see him for what he is to be to us in every aspect of our life. That should be our desire every morning that we wake up, that we would ask to see the Lord Jesus more. When Philip would ask the Lord later on that evening, what he'd say, "Can you show us the Father?" Well, Jesus' response was, "Philip, have I not been with you this entire time? If you've seen me, you've seen the Father." So to see Jesus is to see God. And that idea of seeing is also, there's a tie in there of knowing, to see and to know. And that should be our desire, to see and to know the Lord Jesus more. And so we're just going to look through this passage in chapter 12 of the Gospel of John this week. I pray that this is encouragement and a blessing to you. God bless, and have a good day.